not too long ago, I was asked to inform the members of RSLWA that the Australian Veterans Children Assistance Trust Tertiary Education Scholarship was open for applications. Now, this is a fantastic opportunity for children and grandchildren of veterans to fund their further education. And man, do I wish it was around when I was fresh out of high school. In fact, there's a lot of assistance for children of current and past serving personnel now that just wasn't available when I was young. But some of it was there for my sister. Though there was only 3 years between us, it dawned on me the other day that my sister and I had vastly different experiences growing up in the military. So today I've asked her to come in and we're going to do something we've never actually done before. Sit down and talk about our parents' service and what it was honestly like for us growing up. It's time to prep your standard NATO, folks, because today is going to be a doozy. So her birth certificate says Eliane, but if you're buying or selling a house, you'll know her by Ellie. I'm happy to introduce to you my little sister, Ellie Webster. Hi! Thanks for coming in, Elle. Now, we haven't actually done this before, but we haven't actually sat down and really talked about growing up and what it was like in the military, have we?
No, we actually haven't, just discussed it.
It's weird, isn't it? Like, you think that it's something we just naturally talk about, but I don't think we ever have. It's just...
No, I think it's something that we just kind of put to the side. It was just a normal way of life, but we've never actually talked about how much it did affect us.
And it did affect us because, let's face it, and to get straight to the crux of things, we both came out with mental health issues.
Of course, I think every child probably would going through that experience.
And, I protected you from a lot growing up.
Yes.
And now I'm not sure what you know about and what you don't know about. Like, what did I protect you from? Are there stuff in here that you don't know about? Like 9/11, which was 2001, right?
Yeah.
What do you remember about 9/11?
I remember a lot of stress and anxiety surrounding us. A lot of sadness and a case of, Dad wasn't here. He was, I'm pretty sure, away in the military at the time.
Yep.
Mum was at home, but she was ready to jump. She packed her suitcase and was ready to jump on board a plane.
Yes.
And I knew that from that day, something had changed and something bigger was about to occur that was out of our control, but it was something that was going to change the world.
I mean, how old would you have been in 2001?
God, what year was I born? 94. 6 or 7, I believe.
Yeah, which would have made me, 10, 11?
Yeah, so you were a lot older to be able to understand more.
What was happening? Because I know when 9/11 happened, obviously it was a huge thing. Dad was off the coast of Queensland on training exercise at the time. And I don't know if you know, but Mum got the phone call from Dad. And I don't know if you know, but Dad asked to speak with me. And I will always remember what he said to me. He said something along the lines of, the world has changed as we know it. I need you to be strong and I need you to look after your sister. And that's a lot to put on a 10-year-old who's just seen a plane crash into a building.
That makes me emotional.
I know. There was he said, we might be going to war and I don't know when I'm going to be home.
Yeah, I remember the war topic coming up.
Yeah.
And that was, 6, 7-year-olds shouldn't know what war is, but obviously we were around that lifestyle, yes. So we understood. And I knew that meant that Mum and Dad might not return.
And Mum didn't just prepare. She actually packed her bags and jumped on a plane. She was off to Canberra. And I think we spent the week with Omar and we didn't know where anyone was.
Well, I think we kind of, living that lifestyle, we don't know where our parents were going either because they wanted to protect us and we had those dreams that they wouldn't come back alive, which meant they were coming back alive.
Yes.
I had quite a lot of those dreams that week, which is a scary thing for a kid to go through is seeing your parents die, but knowing down wholeheartedly you knew that they were actually going to return, but you just didn't know when.
And I think that really came to a crux for me was, do you remember Dad going to...
I don't remember him going to but I remember when he returned. He was a lot different.
He was very different. I remember very publicised on the news.
But not the way they saw it and that we knew.
Yes, not the way we knew. We knew a lot more. But I remember seeing one news article and it looked like sailors were under attack. And I saw the uniforms. And I think that's when I developed insomnia. I was like, oh, my God, my dad's over there. And I developed insomnia at that point, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
How many kids have that growing up where they don't know where their parents are, they don't know what they're doing, and they have to deal with that ongoing stress of they might not come back from this?
I don't think many children go through that. A lot of parents do go away for work, but not in the same sense that they're going to fight to protect their country, and therefore they're putting their life on the line. It's not. It wasn't easy. I'm going to say that now, and I see the suffer and the consequences from that, and I'm going to say it was suffering and consequences that we had to deal with.
Oh, absolutely.
We didn't have the parents to tuck us into bed at night, and we didn't have the daily phone calls. Yep. We could go 6 months without hearing a word from them.
Exactly. We could go 6 months without seeing Dad. I remember one time, I think you were really young, and Dad's come back from like a 7-8 month stint or something ridiculous like that. And he's come back with a full beard. And you freaked out.
Was that the time he picked us up in the van at school?
Yes.
I actually recall that, and I had a conversation with Dad the other month about it, because I didn't recognise him whatsoever.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a car mechanic or something. Didn't recognise him, didn't recognise his voice, didn't recognise the smell. It wasn't that normal submarine smell.
Yeah.
And even when he did the whistle, which we had this, we had this set whistle.
Dad kind of trained us like he trained our pig hunting dog, which was answering to hand gestures and whistles. So there's a very particular whistle that we knew meant come here, or meant danger, or meant go away.
Yeah, and even that whistle, it wasn't the same. And so I didn't know it was Dad.
You freaked out.
As a child, you should always know who your parents are, no matter what. A smell or something should make you remember. And I didn't know it was Dad.
Yeah.
And that is hard for me to even... It was hard for me to say it to Dad. I didn't know who you were. Mm-hmm. And it's even now hard for me, and I even now will sit here and go, I don't want that lifestyle for my child.
Yeah. So I know you and our partners have nothing to do with the military. Mm. Would you ever consider dating a military? Because for me, that's off limits. Like, I'm not going anywhere near it.
I think, at the current state, I would probably put my foot down and say no. Mm. I think down the line... If it's needed, if war was to occur or so, I think I would go, you need to go to war, or you need to serve in the military to protect us, protect our country.
And protect your son.
And protect my son. That's the biggest way you could. But the way I know also a lot of military men are...
like, hell no.
It's a definite hell no.
Yeah, fair enough. But you're right. You said that you didn't recognise Dad, and it's very difficult, I think, to build relationships with parents when they're not there for 6 months, and then they come home for like 2 weeks, and then they're on deployment again. I mean, you had more time with Mum and Dad than I did, because Mum and Dad got out of the military when I was about 17, 18, and by that stage, I'm like, I'm out. I moved out of home.
You were smart.
I got out. But so you had more time with them, but you also got them when Dad was dealing with DVA. And he was going through serious mental health issues without proper treatment, and you got the brunt end of their separation.
Yeah.
What was it like? Because obviously I wasn't there to protect you at that point. I'd moved out. I was dealing with my own issues. Mm. How difficult was that time?
Well, as a teenager myself, you're trying to find yourself. Mm. I was also getting bullied at high school at the same time. And so, home was meant to be your escape. Mm. But home was a prison cell at the same time. Yeah. So school was a prison, home was a prison. So I just had to escape completely. And, that's when I was coming home at 3 a.m. or so in the morning, just because I couldn't return home.
Yeah.
There was just something in that house. It was a cloud, the black dog type of thing.
Oh, I felt it when I came home. It was like walking around on eggshells.
Yeah. And, to have it at school and then to have it at home, and just trying to find yourself as a teenager at the same time. It was way too much, and it took years for me to find myself, but it also took me years to forgive the parents for what they took, I guess you could say, from me. It was suffering, and it built up until, a couple years, year, 2 years out of uni. That's when it, as you know, a situation occurred that I find a lot of military kids go through, and that's depression and suicide, because of the lifestyle the military creates. In a family, you can't open up. There's a wall between you all.
You can't talk about it.
You can't talk about your emotions. You can't talk about yourself, because obviously that's the way the military trains you as well. It goes to your children.
Yeah, it's all about, the military, it's all about teamwork, and it's about that support. But there's so much secrecy. You're not allowed to talk about this. You're not allowed to talk about that. We weren't allowed to talk about Timor at the time. We weren't allowed to talk about 9/11 at the time. No. There's a lot we weren't allowed to talk about.
No.
Did you know about Dad's submarine sinking?
Fuck no! Christ. No, I didn't know about that. That is...
See, that's something we weren't allowed to talk about. And
oh, God. Well done, Dad. Thanks for that.
Yeah, so I knew about that, but I wasn't sure if you knew about that, and I didn't want to bring it up because not only were you so young, but it was the day after your birthday.
No wonder I didn't hear from him for a while.
Yeah. So we weren't allowed to talk about that. And I thought we weren't allowed to talk about it for a long time, so I've never brought it up. And then when I started the RSL, I found out that people knew about that, and it had been published in the newspaper. So if you
you knew we weren't allowed to read a lot of news. Well, we weren't not allowed to read newspapers. It was a case of, oh, there's nothing in there. Just skip to that. Skip to the cartoons of Garfield.
Yeah, we didn't really like the newspaper, did we?
No, but because we always had negativity about the military as well.
Yes.
We didn't want to read the newspaper because of the propaganda against our people. And that's what it was. The military is a family. And you are, if someone's going to attack one person, you're attacking our family.
Yeah, you stick by them.
Yeah.
So, you were saying that, you came out and you attempted suicide, and that was obviously a huge thing that affected our family. But I suppose what good did come out of that is that the military suddenly realised that they had to do something with our family.
Yes.
And I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and suddenly they were helping Dad, and DVA was helping Dad. He was getting the stuff that he needed.
Mum was a cry for help as well.
It was, yeah. I was diagnosed with PTSD not long after that. You were diagnosed with issues. You were given medication. So as bad and as awful as that period was,
there was a tunnel at the end of the line.
Yeah.
Oh, light at the end of the tunnel. That's what I mean. It's morning, guys. Sorry, second coffee's not in me.
And I mean, now we're doing pretty well for ourselves.
Yeah.
And you've got a son.
Definitely. I think, I've only also just gone back to, the DVA did give us a counsellor, but, you just don't connect with everyone.
Yes.
And when you talk, especially military, when you're talking to people, and you don't connect with them, you're not going to open up and you're not going to let them help you. So finally I found someone who I could talk to, and it was only just this year. And I've been going to him, and he's helped me quite a lot as a well-trained psychologist. He's not a military background, but he's, I think that's what also helps.
He's an outsider. His perspective is different.
Yeah, definitely. And so that's helped. I've gotten my dream career in real estate. It's been fantastic. Got my family, my partner. I'm getting there. Everything's on, I guess you could say, everything's on track. But no, if it wasn't also for that military lifestyle, I wouldn't be where I am today. I'd be in a whole different ball. I'm not sure if that was good or bad, but...
You'd be a very different person.
I'd be a very different person, but I'm not going to regret everything that's happened either.
And I think that's the point that we have to get to at some point. And, while we said before, a lot of our issues were caused by our parents and our parents' service, at the same time, we can't blame them for it.
No.
They did what they thought they could and what they thought they had to.
Yeah, and do you know what? At the end of the day, they protected us, they protected our family, and they protected our country. The biggest thing a person can ever do is to stand up for their country.
Yep.
And they've done that, and we wouldn't be in this situation with our freedom without them, because at the end of the day, Timor and things like that, that could have gotten a lot worse.
Yeah.
9/11 could have gotten a lot worse and
Absolutely.
landed on Australians. So, if it wasn't for the military, we wouldn't be where we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I forgive them now, and I understand everything that happened. At the time as a teenager. I hated their guts. But I was seeing it from an immature eyes, whereas now, completely understand.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. And you've got an almost 2-year-old now, Jackson, and you've taken him to 2 Anzac Day services, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
So what values are you hoping to pass on to him?
I think, Anzac spirit makes Australia. That is part of our culture. So I want him to understand that. I want him to understand the lifestyle that we had growing up. But I want him to remember why our military is still here and why we need to support them. And also understand why soldiers do what they do. But also, I don't know, it's a weird one. It's just part of us.
Yeah.
And I want to share that. I want him to be part of this lifestyle I hope he'll never be a part of in one way.
Do not join the military.
Yeah, do not join the military. I will kill you myself. So be part of this lifestyle and this culture.
He's only 2, but his first Anzac Day, I love telling people about his first Anzac Day, because even though he was, 1, and he had no understanding of what was going on, he was silent when there was silence.
Yes.
He tried to sing along to the songs when there were songs. and he was just the most well-behaved kid I've ever seen at an Anzac Day service.
He was really well behaved. We went to the 100 years, so it was a very special moment. It was my first ever Anzac Day parade in the city as well, and it was obviously my son's first Anzac Day, and it was a very special moment. And he was talking to the old nurses and the old veterans, and the women were laughing and giving him cookies and things.
Oh, he was having a great time.
He was having a great time, but it was just lovely for them to tell him their stories.
And that he seemed to be listening.
Yeah, he was listening, and that's what I really appreciate. He's 1 year old, not like, it's a strange thing, but they do understand, and they do know when to respect, and he was very respectful. And I think, every Anzac Day he'll be going to, even if eventually down the track we move country or so, he'll be going to an Anzac Day, and I'll be making sure of that.
Yeah, I mean, there is a good chance he might move countries too, because he decided to get with an Irishman, which was obviously a huge mistake.
Yeah, definitely a huge mistake, but at least they know part of our culture as well.
But it's interesting too, because your partner's Irish, my partner's Scottish. What the hell are we doing?
Bad jokes.
Anyways, neither of our partners have anything to do with the military. They have no family in the military. They don't have that connection. And it can be difficult at times communicating with them because they don't understand the lifestyle we had. They don't understand the significance of Anzac Day. They don't have the links that we do.
Yeah. I think there's a reason in one way why I didn't choose someone that was in the military as well. It wasn't I had to choose someone that was in the military. It was a case of it was an outsider in a way that didn't have this blurred vision or biased point of view to a certain way. And, it's kind of good that they don't understand because they see it in a different eyesight,
they have a different perspective of it.
Different perspective of it. And it's good to hear someone else's perspective of it, but it's also good to bring someone else into our understanding as well. Plus, if it was to date someone that was in the military, that's a whole nother level of craziness that I didn't want to deal with.
Yeah, fair call.
So, it was the easy way out, I guess you could say.
Oh, dear. And, this year for Anzac Day was the first year that Mum and Dad first year that they've marched since they were in uniform.
Yeah.
Even though we weren't there to witness it, I know Dad marched in Rockingham. Mum marched in the city. You had a Joondalup service, and working for the RSLWA, I was working all day. Mm-hmm. How did it feel, though, to know that Mum and Dad had finally decided that they felt comfortable marching again?
I think they had found forgiveness.
It
was really nice for them to march. I'm very proud of that. I'm more proud that they've found forgiveness and understanding because it took them years to forgive the military, I guess you could say.
Yes.
And for my dad to go, oh, I actually done this, I'm proud of this.
Yeah.
Because obviously a lot of military personnel wouldn't be proud of what they've done.
Yeah.
And a lot of civilians wouldn't understand why they've done what they've done.
And being a submariner, a lot of what Dad did and a lot of his service doesn't exist.
Yes, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
A lot does not exist. It's not recognised. He will walk around, I think it's one medal on his...
He's got his long service medal, he has his dolphins, and that's about it.
That's about it. And, some, especially the young'uns, will look at him going, what have you done type of thing.
Yeah, and he feels he hasn't done anything. He feels that he doesn't have that status as a veteran.
Yeah, but we know, well, we don't know everything, but we know now quite a lot what he's done, and he needs to be, I don't know if pride, being proud is the right word for it, but he needs to recognise what he's done and gone, once again, we wouldn't be here at this current state, and he wouldn't be standing there for.
I think it's also for us, it's the legacy. We served as well. We put up with everything. We lived those duties. We lived that service, and we served in a very different way than he did, obviously, but we served as well. And to see him march acknowledges our service as well as his service.
Yeah, our family service to it. It's not one person that gives himself to the military. It's the whole family, and it's for generations as well.
And I think in the future, when Jackson's a bit older and he's able to understand it, if he sees Dad and Mum marching,
he's going to be very proud.
He's going to be so proud of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something I know I want to install in Jackson. I know you're...
I'm wholeheartedly going, yes!
Even though we had very different experiences, you had some support networks going on. I know at high school they started up that ADF support group, didn't they, at school?
Yes, that was very supportive. All us children were quite a few troublemakers in the group, and a lot of us were just difficult kids But we had the support from Olivia Venables, and she was incredible. She was the only teacher there that understood why we were the way we were. You know, it's not an excuse for our actions, but it was a complete different lifestyle, and we couldn't open up. And as a teenager, like I said, trying to find yourself is difficult, but trying to find yourself as a military child is even harder.
Yeah.
And so she gave us the support and gave us the respect that we wanted and needed and weren't receiving. You know, we could open up to her where we couldn't open up to our family.
Yeah. And you couldn't open up to civilians.
No, civilians had no idea. I remember talking to one of my, then friends about it. And she was like, oh, my dad's in the mines. You know, it's very dangerous, yada, yada, yada. And I was like,
yeah, it's completely different.
Completely different. Does your father get shot at? Not the last time I checked, he doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, is he on a tank that's going to be blown up in any second because they're going through Korean waters? No. Completely different ball game. But, you know, we did have the support there. And even to this day, I respect Olivia Venables hugely. And I've still got her on Facebook and things. And, if it wasn't for her, I would not have gotten through high school, plain and simple. And if it wasn't for my little group of support there, the ADF kids, I don't think many of us would have gotten through high school.
Yeah.
Because it was hard.
Yeah, it's very hard growing up in that kind of environment. And I didn't have the support network that you did because it didn't exist when I was younger. These scholarships for university and all that didn't exist when I needed them. So it's amazing to see how much help is being put out there now for military families. And I'll admit I'm slightly salty because, you know, I had to pay for uni myself.
I still had to pay for a couple of years.
And, you know, I didn't get this kind of support, but it's so great to see these opportunities now and that we're being recognised.
Yes, and that's the biggest thing. We weren't being recognised. They just saw it as the dad say,
dad served.
That was it. Not the kids. And I remember, it's going to sound a bit disturbing, but I remember lying in hospital when I attempted suicide, and it was in the emergency department, and there was a lady next door to me, and she was saying how her husband was away in the Navy and blah, 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 and that her kids were being a bit difficult. And I felt like just shouting at her, going, get him out of the Navy now. Get him out, because those kids are screwed up and they're going to be screwed up more. And I said it to the nurse there. She was like, what do you mean? I was like, you wouldn't understand. But, yeah, there's a lot of support out there now, but they need more at the same time.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot don't know about the support, and we need to get it out there.
Yes.
And we need to tell military children and just military in general, there's support there. It's okay to ask for that help, because that's the biggest thing as well. They don't realise it's okay to ask for help. You know, we helped our nation. Why can't they help us now?
Exactly. And I think that's probably going to be the perfect way to wrap up this podcast, actually. So thank you so much for coming in. I did mention at the beginning, Ellie is a real estate agent. So if you're looking to buy or sell a house,
hit me up, guys.
She's very good, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased as all help, but she is doing very well for herself, and she really puts in the entire effort and all the effort and treats you like a human being to sell your property.
And in one way, the military background helps dramatically. Well, the military background helps drastically with being in real estate as well. So, call me.
Doggy, well done, apparently. All right, Eliane, thank you so much for coming in. Thanks for having an honest discussion with me about this.
Thanks for having me.
This podcast was edited, published and produced by the RSLWA. Head to www.rslwa.org.au for other content. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast and follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook.